Hi, how are you? Today we're going to make easy strawberry shortcake. This recipe is made right in our rock crock. You only need one pot and that's it, nothing else. Well, I mean, of course, a couple of tools, but everything, like the bulk of the work, is done right here in our everyday rock crock. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut up the strawberries. And to take the stem out, I'm going to use this nifty little tool from Pampered Chef. And it just takes it right out. This is actually my first time using this, so that's fun. Okay, so I want to show you two ways to do the strawberries for this recipe. The recipe calls for the strawberries to be muddled with our mix and chop right in the rock crock. So while I have the rock crock warming up to get it prepared for the strawberries, I want to talk to you guys about our mini measure-all. This is a great cup. You need to measure liquid or something dry. So the liquid goes into this part, and then you push this down to the measurement you need it to be, and you put the dry on this side. So this recipe calls for a half a cup of sugar, so I'm going to go ahead and put the sugar in the measure-all. So as I mentioned before, I'm only going to use half of the strawberries into the rock crock, because I'm going to muddle some the way that the recipe asks for it to be muddled, and then I'm also going to show you how much easier it can be using the manual food processor. So I have the strawberries in the rock crock with the sugar. The next thing I'm going to do is 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. So here we are muddling the strawberries with our mix and chop. Okay, so here is our manual food processor. It has a top, blade, and the bowl. The blade goes right into this little peg right here. I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of the strawberries inside of the food processor. The lid, the part that pumps, the handle that pumps, has a lock. I'm just going to unlock it. Put the lid on and start chopping with the manual food processor. I'm still going to leave these chunks a little bit big because I still have the rest in the rock crock. And this is a much faster way of muddling your strawberries. Okay, so I still have those strawberries on low in the rock crock, because the next thing I need to do for this recipe is juice half of a lemon to put into the strawberries. This is our juicer. With this juicer, you have the option to pour straight out of the spout with everything that comes out of the lemon, or you can choose to strain. I always choose the option to strain. So this recipe calls for half of a lemon, so I'm just going to go ahead and juice that. And then we're going to take this over and pour it over the strawberries. And again, like I said, I'm keeping it on low while I do all of this. What's great about the rock crock is that it retains its heat, so even on low, everything is still cooking and going smoothly. This is what's left of the lemon when I use the juicer. You can also use our citrus press to do this as well. Okay, so here's what the strawberries look like. Again, I muddled half with our mix and chop right in the rock crock, and then I did the other half of the strawberries in our manual food processor. I'm going to go ahead and pour the lemon right in, and I'm going to mix that up and let that sit for a little while I do the flour for the biscuits. Okay, so this recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of self-rising flour. I personally have a hard time finding self-rising flour, but you can make your own self-rising flour with a tablespoon of baking powder and half a teaspoon of salt. What's great about our measuring spoons is that you can make them to whatever measurement you need. So if I pull this all the way back, it's 1 tablespoon. I'm gonna go ahead and take this and put 1 tablespoon of baking powder right in my bowl. And then for the half a teaspoon of salt, I'm gonna take our smaller measuring spoon. This one goes all the way to 1 teaspoon. And right now I have the measurement at half of a teaspoon. I'm not sure if you can see it, but that would be half of a teaspoon for the salt. So into the 2 cups of flour with this 1 tablespoon of baking powder and half a teaspoon of salt so that it can be self-rising, you need 1.5 cups of heavy cream. And that's the great thing about this mini measure-all, is that I can just use 1 measuring cup for the entire recipe. We have a larger one as well, but since I have the other silicone measuring cups, I only have the small one of this one. So this goes all the way up to the line right here for 1 cup. So here is 1 cup of the heavy whipping cream. Put that right in here. And now I'm going to take half a cup and measure it to right here. Okay, so as it started to get doughy, I'm going to start using my hands to mix that all in. Make sure that I get all the flour and everything together. And what I'm going to do is take this over and start scooping this right into the rock crock using my medium scoop. Our scoops come in 3 sizes: small, medium, and large. It is preferable to use the large for this one, but what I'm going to do is just do 2 scoops of the medium to make the biscuits. And here is what the dough looks like. And here are my hands. So here is what the strawberries look like after they've been sitting on low in the rock crock on my stove. I already have the oven preheated to 400 degrees, and we're going to pop this into the oven once I put the biscuits on top to bake uncovered. Okay, so here is our medium scoop. I'm going to go ahead. I scooped up some of the dough and just scoop that right in. I'll show you all what it looks like once I'm done scooping. Okay, so here is what it looks like with the self-rising dough scooped on top. We're going to put this in the oven now at 400 degrees for 20 minutes or until browned. Normally for this recipe, you sprinkle a mixture of sugar and cinnamon together on top of the biscuits, but my husband does not like cinnamon, so I have to do it after it's been taken out of the oven and he's been served. Okay, so I have removed this delicious dessert that works great for brunch or just a light dessert in the evening. And I'm going to let it sit for 5 minutes before we serve it.